Alright, let's take a look and see how adding and subtracting polynomials, or the ability to do that, will help us solve word problems. Alright, so here's our question. A student is cutting a square out of a piece of poster board. The area of the poster board can be represented as this expression, 4x squared plus 14x minus 8 inches squared. Remember, class, area is always in squared units. The area of the square, can be represented as x squared plus 8x plus 16. When they talk about the square, that's the square he's cutting out. And it says, write an expression, remember it's not going to have an equal sign, write an expression to represent the area of the poster board left over after the student cuts out the square. Now, we know already, class, that a bunch of you freak out when you get to a word problem. You just motor through it real fast, you don't understand what it says, and you panic, and you don't even try the problem. But you got to realize, class, you understand this. You've cut pieces out of poster board or paper before. You probably did that in kindergarten, first grade. You took scissors out, and you took paper, and you cut it out. So all this is really talking about is we're just cutting a square out of a piece of poster board. Now, to understand this mathematically, I'll tell you what is really useful. If you can draw a diagram, you will make this question very clear. So try getting used to drawing diagrams. So we're going to go ahead and, I can cheat a little bit on this one. I'm going to go ahead and draw. I'm going to draw what I'd say is a poster board. Let's change my lines to be a little thinner than that. Alright, and then inside this poster board, we're going to cut out a square. I'll try to make it look like a square if I can. Alright, so look, all we're doing right now, class, is we're just diagramming the word problem. It says the area of the poster board can be represented as this, and the area of the square can be represented as this. So I know how much area this whole thing is. That's this. And I know what the area of this cutout piece is. That's this. Now if you think about this, they want to know the area of the poster board left over. Now isn't that just logical? It's the whole poster board minus the piece you cut out. Whenever you see cutting out, that means subtract. You're going to cut it out. You're not going to add, you're not going to glue a piece on, you're going to remove a piece. Removing, mathematically, is just subtraction. So when you think about this problem, here's a good way to describe this. The leftover amount, the part that's left over, is equal to the whole poster minus the square. So it's the area of the whole poster board minus the square is going to be the leftover, which is exactly what we want. We want the leftover part right here. And so now look, class, all this is just subtracting two expressions, of subtracting a polynomial from a polynomial. So let's write this out. We want to know what the leftover is. Well, the whole poster, let's take the whole poster first. The whole poster is 4x squared plus 14x minus 8. That's the whole poster. I'm just right here so you see this. This is the whole. Alright? And we're going to subtract, okay, because subtracting here, this subtract means we're going to cut out the piece. What are we going to cut out? We're going to cut out the square. The square is represented by the expression x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now look what you did mathematically. You're taking the whole thing. Let's put an arrow here so we can see. This is the whole thing, and this is the square, which is exactly what we wrote in our diagram. written out word equations. The whole poster minus the square. All right, now this should look familiar to you. This is exactly what you've been doing in our last examples. Let's go ahead and do the math here. I'm going to use the horizontal method. You can use the vertical method if you want. So here's the horizontal method. Let's look for like terms. I've got an x squared term here, and I've got an x squared term here. I've got an x term here, plus 14x, and I've got a plus 8x. And then one thing we maybe haven't talked about yet is, well, we did talk about this before, negative 8 is also a term. It's a constant. I'm going to draw 3 underlines. And positive 16, that's also a constant, so those are like terms. All right, let's rewrite our equation and put all our like terms together. We've got 4x squared. That takes care of this one. I've got negative 1 times x squared, which is negative x squared. Remember to distribute the negative sign. That takes care of that one. All right, now we got a positive 14x. That takes care of this one. We've got a positive 8x, but we're multiplying it times a negative number because we're subtracting it. Negative 1 times 8 is negative 8x. And now I've got a constant over here of minus 8. And I've got a constant here of positive 16, but again, it's negative 1 times positive 16, which is negative 16. That covers all of our terms. Now we can go ahead and mark the ones that are like terms. There's x squareds, there's x's, there's constants. Let's write our final answer. 4x squared minus 1x squared is 3x squared. 14x minus 8x, that's 14 minus 8. 14 minus 8 is positive 6x. And I've got negative 8 minus 16. This is the one that will give some of you trouble. Use your calculator. If you cannot understand a negative number minus a number, grab your calculator. You can use your calculator to make sure you get the right sign. And the way we do this is we're going to put the negative 8 in first. On your calculator, you have a plus or minus key. That's going to give us a negative 8. And then we're going to subtract 16. Press equal, and you see it is negative 24. And that looks totally simplified. So the question was asked, write an expression to represent the area of the poster board left over, which is right here. This is the expression that's the leftover part. So let's circle that. And if I ask you for this in a sentence answer, you would write the expression for the leftover poster board is 3x squared plus 6x minus 24. And if you want to put that in parentheses just to make it clear, you can do that as well. And there we go. You've solved a word problem.